Hi there, Assassins, and welcome to episode 8 of Rally the Creed Live. This is your weekly Assassin's Creed community hangout, and I'm Carl, the community ambassador for Assassin's Creed here in the UK, and I'm also the team leader of the ones that came before and the founder of that Assassin's Creed community. So I'm joined today by Declan Rose from Let's Talk Assassin's Creed. Welcome, Declan.
Well, I forgot what I was going to say then. Hi, Cole.
Are you okay, mate?
Yeah, I'm great.
So thank you for joining me. I know it was a bit short notice this week. In last week's episode, I didn't actually announce who the guest was going to be, and that wasn't as like a big surprise for who it was going to be. I hadn't got that far ahead in the planning stages yet. I was a little bit behind. I mean, we went 7 episodes pretty much like planned really well, and then I got to a point where it was like, oh, I realised everyone's away now. So you might have seen that a lot of the Assassin's Creed community members are actually in France this week in Bordeaux for a top secret mission that's going on there. Couldn't say exactly what they're up to, but very exciting for all them involved. So quite a few people I had on the list to join on are actually abroad right now. So I was reaching out to people, and I've actually managed to piece together a list. So we now have a guest every single week until around the 19th of October. So we've got like a massive interest, and that's the cool thing. This is really starting to take off. You know, we've got more and more people joining every week. We've got more and more people donating gifts and things, which helps us with the website costs. So a big thank you, everyone. And people are starting to mark down on their calendars Sunday night at 10 o'clock in the UK. They know this is the time for their Assassin's Creed community hangout, and each time we're getting more and more guests. So massive thank you to everyone joining us tonight. Welcome, guys, and welcome, Declan. So please could you tell us a little bit about yourself? I mean, I've known you quite a long time, probably about 6 or 7 years at this point, but a few people who are newer here in the chat might not, because you've been a bit absent recently for personal reasons. But let's talk Assassin's Creed. What is that? How did it start? And just basically like, where has it gone and will it return, and just all things Let's Talk Assassin's Creed. So you tell us, Declan, as you created it.
Yes, so Let's Talk Assassin's Creed. It was basically a idea where I decided after years of playing Assassin's Creed, I wanted to do content, and I couldn't do a lot of like streaming or YouTube work, so I moved into podcasting, and that was when I first got in touch with you, was when I first started. And I'm maybe absent, but Let's Talk Assassin's Creed has actually been steaming along. I've got a great collaboration with 2 co-hosts, but I'm still regularly involved now. I've jumped back on the team as secondary guest host. At the moment, we've just been plugging along, but it's kind of hard with our structure. We flow with how Assassin's Creed news goes and how the games are shaping up. But unlike Valhalla, we haven't had a lot of content to cover with Shadows because it's fairly new and it doesn't have a extensive life cycle like Valhalla did with the I think Valhalla's roadmap have like seasonal content, river raids, and because Shadows doesn't really have that, we at the Let's Talk Assassin's Creed team have just been working more on different content, different stuff for Shadows and previous titles. But it's kind of hard getting that flow going while Shadows has limited amount of content to discuss. So we're still very active and still engaging in different content. We've just done some tests around Expedition 33 and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. So we're just branching out and just exploring different themes while Shadows is picking up.
Very good. Well, it's good to hear that you're still in the content creation like platform and doing all things behind the scenes, because like I said, there was a bit of a gap where we weren't so sure what was happening with Let's Talk Assassin's Creed. It sort of dropped off in terms of like the regularity of the episode releases. Am I right in thinking it's monthly, or is it purely dependent now on the news and when that's available to cover?
We try and do bi-weekly. So the problem with weekly is I did it solo for quite a while, so weekly was a very easily structured for me because I can just get up, get the camera sorted, get the podcast ready, and get going. But as the show's grown and I've invested in a lot better editing software, so we now use DaVinci for a lot of our editing, a lot of that time builds up, and it's kind of impossible to deliver high quality content that we love to make on a weekly basis with all the editing that needs to do behind the scenes. So we just try and do it bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, or every monthly, just when there's something for us to discuss. But our YouTube side is more active with smaller content, some off-topic sort of stuff. So I've just done a Rogue Prince of Persia review because it's one of my new favorite games. So we're still plugging away at content, but we're just trying to build a structure now where it's every 2 weeks or every monthly, just to give the team and myself a lot of room to deliver high content episodes and make sure we've got enough time to edit and push it out in a regular manner.
That's really good because I remember obviously at its peak, Let's Talk Assassin's Creed was like the big Assassin's Creed podcast. It had like guests on, and there was always like really good discussion. They were long, deep dive episodes. It was really great. And yeah, it's just nice to see like more podcasts in the community because right now there's not actually that many. I mean, I've been listening to quite a few in work recently, and the main one in Assassin's Creed community now is the Podyssey, which is really great. To be fair, it's by two lads, there's Harrison and Lewis, so it's really great to listen to that. I mean, I probably listen to about 3 or 4 episodes a day in that one. So, and the cool thing is with that one, it's sort of like it is Assassin's Creed, but it's also discussing all other things like culturally and media related as well. Like, for example, there was like an hour and 20 minutes of it, just me with my headphone in the back of work, and they were just discussing movies. It's like, even though it's Assassin's Creed, it doesn't have to always be about it. And that's what I want to like incorporate into these weekly live streams. Like, I rarely use the word podcast for this. I tend to say community hangout because it is like discussions with people. We're talking to people who are Assassin's Creed content creators or have been in the past, but I want to get a bit more personal on it and sort of learn a bit more about them as people, if things like mental health and burnout have ever affected them, and just take it like to the next level rather than purely from like a content point of view. So let's go back to the start, Declan. Where are you from? I think we've got this in common. And what can you tell us a bit about yourself?
So I'm currently living in Carlisle, but that's not where I'm from. If I could spend hours discussing where I'm from all over, so that's the topic I'm never going to admit to the public. But about myself, I'm just a very quiet gamer who's obsessed with any video game I can get my hands on, and Assassin's Creed's been my pet enjoyment since 2007, since Altair first graced our screens, and I've just never stopped playing. I play regularly now. I've got every comic and book written as my final collection is updated, and I've got every game produced now on my PS5. So
that's really
just
good.
been working hard, just building my little shrine to Assassin's Creed.
It's interesting that we're both from Carlisle, but we've never actually met. This is the madness of it because it's like such a small place in the north of England, and we were both Assassin's Creed content creators living there at the same time, but we never actually met. And you're probably only about 5-10 minutes away from me.
I'm very much an introvert. I don't go out much, so I only go out for Pokemon Go most days. And
Fair
other than
enough.
that, it's just I'm staying in the house.
Yeah. And it's interesting because as well, like all the events I went to, you weren't at, and like all the events you were at that I didn't manage to get to. So we've literally been like passing ships for years. We've just never actually met. But like we've done things like obviously featuring on Let's Talk Assassin's Creed, and then other like relating to the Mentors Guild, Rally the Creed, like online events we did together. So that's really cool. But yeah, like I say, it's so mad that we're from like the same place. We're probably like a similar age, and we have a lot in common. So yeah, really cool to see that another content creator has grown out of Carlisle, north of England crew.
Well, surprisingly, since a lot of my life has changed, I now have free time, and I'm actually now making it a mission to go to every Assassin's Creed event in England that I can get
Oh
to.
wow, that's
So I
amazing.
actually did go down to London for the Assassin's Creed Symphonic production. So I met James, one of my other co-hosts. We met in London and we hung out for a bit, and then I went down to the concert. So any more Assassin's Creed stuff that comes up in England that I can get to, I'll probably go to. But if it's abroad, you'll never see me because I don't own a passport, and that's just
Fair enough.
not happening. So if it's in England, I'll try and get there. I've got time to get there, and I've got the resources. So wherever there's an AC event, you'll see me pop my head up.
That's really good. And I guess the name of this implies that obviously Rally the Creed live could be done in person because we just go live with the people. So it'd be really cool if we could like get a couple assassins together in real life at an event and do like this like in person. So I think that's where it's heading when we get to a few more events. So that'd be cool. Oh wow, you're sending a galaxy. Thank you so much. That's major. Yeah, it's things like that that really help us with the website hosting, guys. So thank you so much. So Declan, I wanted to talk to you as well about like the team structure of Let's Talk Assassin's Creed. So you mentioned James, and is there another co-host as well that you mentioned?
Yeah, we've got Chris from Scholars of the Creed, but our team structure is kind of different to how other teams work. So we're all on what I class as an equal footing. So even though we're all co-hosts, not one of us is a single owner of the show. It's a joint ownership. So James, who's done a lot of great work with our YouTube, I've dedicated the entire ownership of YouTube to him. Chris does really well for promotion and stuff, so he's got the entire ownership for that. And then I do a lot like the research with them, and I just take charge over Blue Skies because I really love doing the social media side. But we are like equal footing, so when it comes to like episodes, we always discuss who's free because we never want to try and do an episode where one person can't make it. So if someone's ill or they're on holiday, we try and push it around. So that our team structure is less about a team and a hierarchy, but more of a united front. So all three of us are joint hosts, joint creators, and joint owners of the podcast now, instead
That's
of
a
it
really
just
good way of
being
doing it.
me.
Yeah, this feels like a really smart way of like doing it because then like the responsibility sort of split between the three. It depends on like free time and everything. I guess all of the co-hosts you mentioned, so the two guys and then yourself, they're all UK based, so at least there's no like time zones to consider either.
Yeah, which is great because we're all close to each other and we can all get we usually try and record for like 8 o'clock at night when we're all free,
That
and
makes
we
sense.
just do it together as naturally as possible. And that's just kind of the aim with our podcast, is a natural flow and enjoyment. So as you see, a lot of our episodes have outtakes in them or just random moments because since inception we've just tried to keep it as a natural, less professional, but more let's have some fun, let's discuss the latest games.
That's cool. At least like the best clips as well that you can just release. Just like the behind the scenes moments, the fun bits as well. It's good. I imagine we're gonna have quite a lot when we've eventually gone through all of our episodes. I started on Tuesday, finally going through and actually like clipping the episodes, but you have to watch them all again and find like the best moments. And we finally started it, but I imagine you guys are straight on that with YouTube Shorts and things.
We haven't pushed for YouTube Shorts yet due to YouTube's algorithm system. If you push too far into one side of YouTube over the other, it has a knock-on effect with the others. So if you push ahead into like shorts for like outtakes or smaller clips of gameplay, it will have an effect on the wider YouTube channel because the algorithm will start promoting only shorts, not actual content. So we have, thanks to James, invested in the YouTube podcast side. So we now come up as a podcast in YouTube's system.
Oh,
So it
nice.
kind of
That's cool.
keeps the algorithm cleaner for us. So if you search for us, you're going to get more of the channel and less hand-picked shorts that YouTube thinks is a lot better.
That makes sense. And is Let's Talk Assassin's Creed on Spotify as well?
Oh, sorry about that. My phone just
Right.
went weird.
No worries.
Yeah, we're everywhere. We've
That's good.
Since inception, we've never changed where we're distributed. We've just changed host platforms. So at the moment we're hosted through Spotify, but Spotify distributes it to anywhere else. If you just Google "Let's Talk Assassin's Creed," you'll find us somewhere.
That's really good. So, like I say, it's nice to see that like one of the more well known Assassin's Creed podcasts is making a bit of a comeback. Because, like I say, there was a bit of a period of time where there wasn't as well active content creation because of like personal circumstances. So it's really good to see that you've overcome that and you're back now behind the scenes, especially. I saw you did a review the other day as well of a Assassin's Creed collaboration. So you're writing again. That's good to see. And yeah, just to have you back is really great, Declan, because there was a period of time where we thought you may have left the Assassin's Creed community entirely. So it's really great to have you on tonight.
It's great to be back, and I've been back for a few months, just working quietly. But I think the problem is podcasting is too niche. It's not well promoted on algorithms, and I don't mean this in a disrespect, but companies like Ubisoft don't really push podcasting either. So even though we are active and we have an active YouTube channel and we've done quite a lot, we're not promoted by the people who promote other content creators because podcasting is too niche. And we don't mind that because we're just here to have fun. But it is a niche platform that a lot of other companies don't want to promote over like video websites or stuff like that. So it's just a battle that I've had since inception, and I'm just keep going and just have fun as I'm going along.
This is really good to see. And so, like what I was saying before, like the podcasts right now, really in the AC community are Let's Talk Assassin's Creed, which is like bi weekly, like say. There's this one, which is more like a community hangout, which is like chats with community members. And then you've also got the Podyssey, which I mentioned before. That's a really good one that I've been listening to recently. Those guys get real deep into like discussions and stuff. So I've been really enjoying that, listening to about 3 or 4 episodes a day. I actually emailed the guys the other day just to tell them how much I'm enjoying it, because through work, I've just got my headphone in, just really enjoying that one. So that's really cool to see. And I believe there's one in Spain as well. But there was a time when there was Assassin's Creed podcasts everywhere. Like there was so many. I remember writing an article called "The Best Assassin's Creed Podcast You Can Find on the Internet," and it was like you'd scroll and scroll and scroll, and there was so many. I mean, obviously there's like Luma, and back in them days you had Echoes of History, which was a Ubisoft one. There was a ton of Assassin's Creed podcasts. I've been a guest on many of them over the years. Yeah, there's been so many. But now, like I say, there's literally a handful. So that's really why I wanted to create this platform. And even though it's not like an official like podcast or anything, it is a good place to discuss all things Assassin's Creed, and as well dive into a bit of like discussion about the guests and where everyone comes from, what they're getting into, and sort of a bit of like behind the scenes, like unfolding, like taking the mask off on content creators, what their daily life is like, because we see these people as like celebrities or like big personas, but we don't always know what their real life, day-to-day life is like. So we're sort of doing that a bit on this. So Declan, you're a dad like me, aren't you? You got 2 kids, is that right?
Yeah, I've got 2 kids.
So I wanted to know a bit, because this is something we've gone into recently. Here's Higgs in the chat now, actually. We were discussing what it's like being a content creator and also a parent as well, and how you personally make time to do both and get a balance. Because I was mentioning it with Higgs recently, that it's quite hard to find that balance, and especially when you've got like a newborn baby, for example, it can be really tough to find that balance between like content creation and parenting, because it can cause stresses at home. So have you found the balance yourself? Feedback would you give on that, or advice to dads who are becoming, or mums who are becoming content creators?
So the balance is it is hard, but it just boils down to like communication and understanding. So at the moment, I'm not going to go into details with my circumstances, but parenting for me is mainly through weekends, so Saturdays and Sundays. So that is a no for content creation. That's blocked. That is set time. And then when I am with the kids, because they're now older, I've got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. When they're off doing their own thing and they don't want my attention, that's when I'll snatch a few hours just to do some writing, just do some notes, check the news, which is what I'm on every day. I'm looking at the Assassin's Creed news, creating mini spreadsheets on my phone just to keep up with. And then when my kids come back in and want my attention, my phone's down and I move on to the kids. And I think the advice I'll give people who are content creators and have just become parents, don't worry about your platform, because that's what ruined me at first. I was too hyper focused on the platform, the engagement, the stats of the show, that I was drifting away from being a parent for a little while because I was hyper focused. But when you realize that when you create that platform, you're going to have a dedicated listen base that are going to tune in. So if you disappear for 2 weeks to be with your kids, you don't have to apologize because it's your life. Podcasting and any other content creation is fun. It's a hobby. You enjoy it. And that is why our structure now is either bi-weekly or monthly, because we've got lives, we've got kids, we've just got to live. And if you prioritize your content over your life, you will face a lot of burnout, which I am speaking from experience from, and things will go sideways.
Big respect there, Declan, because that's super like open and honest. I think that's really solid advice there as well. A lot to take away from that. Really good message there, and I think I can definitely resonate with that myself, because I definitely felt myself like losing myself into Assassin's Creed content when I should have probably been more present in the moment. So definitely guilty of that myself. So yeah, big respect for raising that, and it's great that we can spotlight these things, because of course, like, as a content creation, you're trying to get all this content out. But yeah, big respect for bringing that one up, and of course for shining a light on that, because I imagine a lot of people this will resonate with, because I know me and Higgs discussed it, and yeah, Higgs says never apologise for putting family first. 100%, that's it. Sometimes you do just need to put your phone down, and this is something that I got caught up in a lot, especially in the early days of me having a newborn child. Like, there was a new Assassin's Creed game coming out at the time, so of course that's like a distraction from when you need to be there in the moment. So yeah, I guess that's what sort of materialized the huge team that the ones that came before is today. I sort of had to realize that you can't be everywhere at once. You can't do everything, especially when your family needs you so badly. And yeah, like, it came down to really like structurally realizing that like we need to find a way of maintaining the content, but the main focus is that I'm there for the family. So well done for bringing that up, and I'm glad that you've got your balance in play now with the weekends. That's really great that you don't touch your phone when that's going on, and you definitely touched on it there, and it's a really great message that definitely balance is the key.
It is, and I will admit there has been times where I've gone to like school meetings for my son for like school players, and in like the 20 minutes for the kids to all set up, I am there just making notes about a latest headline in the back of the crowd, because you can snatch moments away. People kind of assume when you become a content creator that it should be 24/7, but you can snatch 5, 10 minutes away. It's not a big deal. Like, I travel a lot on the bus. There's nothing stopping me being on a bus doing 10, 20 minutes of scrolling on the news, making notes. And then once I'm at home, I don't need to do it. So I think when you're a content creator, you kind of, no offense, but you're blind to the opportunities that are actually around you. So if you just take a step back and look at what's around you, you realize that if you're running yourself a bath and you've got that 5 minutes for the bath to fill up, just look at the news. Oh, there's a new game. What's the discussion? All right, I'll bookmark that, jump in my bath, go deal with the kids, and you can just easily do that. I do it all the time, especially on the
Um,
bus with the kids. It takes half an
really,
hour wait for a bus, so
yeah. Like, so I was just thinking, like, even like doing my little boy's tea, like putting the food in the air fryer. There's like 3 minutes so you can check the news and stuff. But like you say, this is the great thing with like the team I've built here at the ones that came before. Like, I've got a social media team; they're just so on it as well. And like James has put a really great comment here. It's really tough posting every day, making content, being present. It's hard, absolutely, and that's definitely something I want to get into on this. And it's definitely like I want to spot like the lives of like content creators and what it's like on an everyday personal level. Higgs says, I write scripts at work or in bed, never worry about being first to get a video out. That's it, because sometimes when news drops, you can really like run yourself into like you feel like you're in a race against all the other content creators. You can get yourself like solely focused on that. But either way, you will release it when you can. And sometimes we place these like deadlines on ourselves, and like we are probably like our own worst enemies in this respect, where we are pushing ourselves so hard that we are trying to get things out immediately. But in a world of social media, there are other people covering it, and yeah, the internet's it's a fast moving environment, and your content will be ready when it's ready at the end of the day. And yeah, definitely agree with what you said in the chat here as well, that family comes first. So yeah, I just wanted to cover that because like we have that in common with the obviously family, and then with Assassin's Creed as well being such a big part of our lives, you do just sometimes have to realise what's important in life, and that is, of course, family first. So, like I say, big respect for bringing that one up, Declan. That's a huge thing. And yeah, sort of not the best segue because I do want to talk about news now, but this is sort of like something I did want to talk about like more recently, but I've not been able to because I've been under NDA, so of course restrictions on it. But you probably saw in the last week that the big news is that Ubisoft have revealed the Assassin's Creed Discovery Tour Medieval Baghdad, which is like the companion app in a sense for Assassin's Creed Mirage. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I was a little bit confused by it because there's not been any fanfare. I can't download it on my phone due to
Okay.
compatibility issues,
Hmm.
but it's just sparked some concerns about Ubisoft's mobile strategy. Because I'm a huge mobile gamer, so I follow a lot of publishers, and the Baghdad one looks really good and it's very interactive, especially on the go. But it's published under a Ubisoft Entertainment arm, which
Okay.
makes it now the third Ubisoft publishing arm on the Play Store. Because
Right.
they've
Okay.
got Ubisoft Entertainment, which publishes Might of Magic, and that's the only game they publish. And then you got the regular one that publishes like Brawlhalla, The Division Mobile, Rainbow Six Mobile. And then now you've got Entertainment Arm, which is publishing the Baghdad History Tour. So it's kind of weird why Ubisoft's slightly disjointed in their
Yeah, I'm not
practice in
sure.
releasing games.
Well, that is interesting. Sort of similar to what we were saying before. Like the reason, like I mention it is because I have actually had access to this app for the last 2 weeks, and like I've sort of just been like playing it. It's not really a game, is it? It's more like learning from it. So like information, like gaining information from this app in secret. So it's like I'd be on the bus, like using it, like you mentioned before. Like that's a good opportunity to do it. Or like I'd be like in my office and just like writing notes about it. And I've actually been like working alongside Ubisoft to be one of the community ambassadors providing feedback for it. So I have had a bit of extra time with it. So yeah, I've actually had a great time with it. Like you say, it'd be probably more cohesive if Ubisoft released it all under just the one Ubisoft on the App Store. Perhaps that would probably be more obvious. But I wanted to get into how much of a surprise this is for community members because this sort of came out of nowhere for a lot of people. No one expected an app for Assassin's Creed Mirage. Obviously, the game's been out a little while now. It wasn't really on anyone's agenda for the year. Like, if you had to pick what was going to come out this year, you'd probably say Claws of Awaji, which is the AC Shadows DLC that's coming out in 2 weeks, and then maybe Black Flag Remake if the rumours would be to be believed. But yeah, that's likely next year at this point, to be honest, because Claws of Awaji and Shadows, there's probably a bit more post-launch content in development as well. So yeah, James makes a good point here. They're showing love to Mirage. I'm really happy about it, but I don't see why they've done it. I think a lot of it might come down to like history being our playground, and that's obviously like a big thing about it. And the game had the codex, so I imagine they've just had to like simply port that to the mobile version because a lot of what you see on the app is just the codex, but like a handheld version. So Declan, you haven't been able to play it on your phone. That is a shame because obviously I wanted to talk about it a little bit. But all I will say about it is there are some really cool like gaming mechanics on it where they've made like learning and interactions fun. So you do like if you want to use the word play, you do use the app as like a member of the hidden ones, but there's no saying if it's Basim or not. But you're sent on missions by like Roshan and some of the other assassins as well, like key members of the hidden ones, and a lot of it's done without like voices, so there's no voice acting needed. But there's really cool like art style used on the app. So they've like Roshan, for example, and Rebecca. They've got really nice like artistic like caricatures. Like it looks really different to the game, but it's almost like an oil painting style. It's really cool to see. And a lot of the way you're given missions as a hidden one is by like notes that always start with "Dear Hidden One," and it gives you like a reason for going out into the world, which is a bit like Google Street View in a way. You're sort of stood and you can pivot around 360 degrees, like circle round and look at the scene. But there are like really cool like ways you can engage with your environment and interact with it. So they found an eagle vision mechanic where you sort of drag the toolbar slider until you can see certain things, and it's similar as well, I guess, with the eavesdropping as well. So there's like a noise bar that you drag the sliders and you can hear a bit more. And this is like ways of gaining information on like objects that were in Baghdad at the time or things they've got in museums currently. And what I noticed recently, which I didn't actually know about whilst I was using the app, is this was by Arshak from AC Landmarks. Some of the items and like I want to say like quest items because that's technically what it is, but they are like real life artifacts, like pots and things. You can actually like use like a virtual reality photo thing on the app where you can like make it look like it's in your house, for example, or like wherever you are. You can use your phone to like hover over it and see what it would look like in your environment. So that's really cool to see. But obviously, with projects like this, they obviously take a long time because the amount of historians that are used to, or like brought in to bring like historical accuracy and like authentic detailing, and even like for a lot of the photos, they might have had to go travel to the museums themselves and like do like 360-degree like photography of these things. So I imagine this took a long time, but like I say, it was a bit of a surprise for people. And like it's got really cool like promo images and stuff, but I'm not sure if there's like genuine like hype about it because obviously at the end of the day it's like more of like a informative platform. But I think this is one that will be really great down the line for like schools and maybe like museums and people looking into like the time period, maybe like scholars for example. And it has got like the hidden ones quest line in there, you know, where you're looking at things for them. But I think for me, like on my feedback to Ubisoft, one of the main things I said is it would have been cool if it sort of tied into like rewards in the game. If like you could unlock maybe like special armor sets and things for Mirage. I mean, obviously we know there's DLC coming for Mirage, so we are going to be picking that game up again and playing it very soon. So that's really cool to see. And that was another unexpected thing. I mean, we're going to Alula in the Assassin's Creed Mirage DLC. No one expected more content for that game, so that's really cool to see. But yeah, like, how do you feel about the Discovery Tour, like, in general? I mean, obviously it's different branding to Assassin's Creed. It's like its own thing. And how do you feel about it that it's now a mobile version for Mirage rather than, like, in, like, the PC version, for example?
Personally, I think the mobile version is way too restrictive. The problem is with the mobile market, and this is somebody who plays a lot of mobile games like Pokemon Go. A lot of phones are now very expensive, so
Yeah.
a lot of people are going for like cheaper models. Like I've got a Samsung Galaxy A15, which is a cheaper model, and it is missing basic requirements like AR function. I don't have it. I don't have fingerprint sensors that a lot of modern phones have. So even though this phone is only 2 years old, it's still behind the line. So for Ubisoft to push another Discovery Tour for Mirage is a great incentive. But by putting it on a platform like mobile, you are restricting the actual audience who can reach it because phones these days are expensive, the economy is rubbish, so we're not all going to be able to rush out and get a phone with AR on it to actually play these apps. So if they could fix it where there's no AR required, it may work, but I think it's a daft move to put it on mobile, but it makes sense because I think we're going to get more DLC style companions for Odyssey and Valhalla in the next few years, anyways, alongside Mirage. So, kind of makes sense what they're doing because I think they're trying to unify everything to the hub. So,
Yeah.
at,
Infinity.
at the moment, when I load up Mirage, you load up to the standard Mirage loading screen. But when you go to Shadows and you get the hub and you go to click on Mirage, you have to put in the disc, which just makes sense. So I think what they're going to be doing with like this Discovery Tour and the new DLC, I think they're going to rejig the UI for the home screen to be a hub home screen, so that as you load up, you load into the same Animus Hub you are with Shadows. So I
That makes
think this is
sense.
just I think Mirage is the best one to do it because it's a smaller title, less things to rework. But I think we may see a mobile version of the Discovery Tour for Valhalla at some point, and also
That'd be
another
cool.
free content. But I think it's a good idea for Ubisoft to push it for educational purposes, but they need to realize that the mobile market is very saturated and very restrictive at the moment, and there's a lot of legal things going on with the App Store that is putting a lot of pressure on consumers. So I think Ubisoft needs to be wary what they do for the mobile market.
No, some good points there, Declan. It's obviously a shame that you're limited to this. You're not able to play it at this time, and yeah, I imagine there's quite a like probably more people than you realise who aren't able to download it then because of the and other apps as well. You know, with like when it comes to like storage or like qualifications of like the specifications of what you need the phone to be able to do. And this is my worry, I guess, when Assassin's Creed Jade eventually comes out. This is the mobile app set in China. It's obviously going to need like quite an impressive device because I remember when the beta was out a few years ago and my phone was like getting hot playing this, but it's probably been about 2 or 3 years now, and yeah, like I say, I imagine that'll need like a top of the line device to play. So yeah, something to consider with apps in general. It seems to be that there are like limitations there, and yeah, with the App Store as well. So yeah, it'd be cool if we could like find like another way or like more mediums of playing the Discovery Tour. I know people can do it in a web browser, which I've seen, but I'm not sure how many people are aware of that. Have you seen that one, Declan?
I haven't, so I may check that out once I
Yeah,
log on and see if I
I
can
mean, I
figure it
didn't
out.
actually know about this myself until Access the Animus posted about it, but apparently you can access it on a web browser. But going back to what you said about the UI, it'd be really cool if they could incorporate this into Assassin's Creed Infinity, because that's meant to be the home of Assassin's Creed. And currently, and me and Dave were saying this in last week's episode, it is currently just a launcher for Assassin's Creed games. There's no real like connectivity between all the games. There's no like missions there being added or anything. There's no like real purpose that like connects it. So it'd be really cool if they could get like a modern day storyline flowing through it. If they could get the Assassin's Creed movie on there, all the comic books, get like all Assassin's Creed medium in one place, the soundtracks, get everything on there, and just have Infinity as like the home of Assassin's Creed. But right now it's not. But they
I
definitely would
think
have to like tweak it, like you say, and add the discovery tours, even though it's technically not Assassin's Creed. It is like it is like its own like standalone brand, but at the same time, it is like a spin-off title at the same time. So yeah, it'd be cool if they could find a way to get this like browser version onto like the actual Infinity platform. But yeah, that's just one thing they can do. And like I say, later down the line, there's going to be schools using it. I imagine there's going to be museums using it, and hopefully people who are just interested in the time period as well. And of course, Assassin's Creed fans will give it a go for a while, but I think there's only so much you can do because it doesn't really connect to the game that much. But yeah, I've passed my initial findings onto Ubisoft and feedback, so who knows, maybe there'll be like a big update later down the line that adds a bit more, especially with the DLC coming out. Maybe they'll do, for all we know, they'll do a discovery to Alula in Saudi Arabia. Maybe there's a part two planned. Who knows? But yeah, it's interesting, and the best part about it is that it's free, so you don't actually have to pay for this. So obviously, I'm naming a few things that they can improve upon, but at the end of the day, they've released a free app that people learn from, so that's always a good thing.
free is always good, but I think in this day and age, free apps are good, but free is also pushing people away from any apps that say free because anybody who goes on the mobile storefront and plays mobile games, when you see the word free, you instantly know it's going to be filled with microtransactions and loot
Right.
boxes. So I know it doesn't with the Mirage Discovery Tour, which is great, but for an average consumer who probably just downloaded something like Assassin's Creed Rebellion, which is full of loot boxes and
Right.
microtransactions, you look at the Mirage Hub and you see free, your instant thought will be, well, do I have to pay to get better areas? Is it going to be a cooldown? And these are all the worries that people have for mobile games. So it is a big concern, and it's even what I have for Jade. Jade is going to be littered with loot boxes, gacha
A good point.
mechanics,
Yeah.
and that is just going to drive people off. And I think that's going to be the drive off when people see that there's a Discovery Tour for free, because why should I download a free game that might have microtransactions if I can just buy Mirage for 20 quid and get the same content? So it's like kind of push and pull.
Yeah, no, very good points again, Declan. And with the codex as well, like I said, it's exactly the same from what I can tell, like on the mobile version to the actual game version. So it is almost like it's been moved across, and then they've just added the other section, which is like the 360 and obviously like the game interaction bits. But yeah, it is interesting because, like I say, no one really expected this at all. It wasn't like on anyone's radar, really. And I guess going back to what I said before, Assassin's Creed Jade would be something I'd expect to hear about soon, really. I mean, that's been in development for years. Yeah, James said it was random. It was a bit random. Obviously, I knew about it in advance, so I knew it was coming, like the dates and everything. But like from like the average community member, like you wouldn't really have seen this coming. And like I want to talk about the future of Assassin's Creed, Declan. How are you feeling about it now compared to like a couple of years ago? So like I think you started like before the time of Valhalla, is that right? And that was obviously like an exciting time to be an Assassin's Creed community member. How do you feel now in 2025? Are you excited about the future of Assassin's Creed, or a little bit nervous about what's coming? Like, how do you feel personally now, and has it changed the way you produce content?
So I will admit I wasn't looking forward to Assassin's Creed in 2025 because of how tight-lipped Ubisoft was with the an Animus Hub, because they just kept playing fast and loose. And as I spoke in the Star Players group with a lot of you members, that one document said, "Oh, it's not going to be a free-to-play game. It's going to be something else. It's going to be a launcher." Then another article said, "Well, it's going to be this instead." All that misinformation really scared me for the future. But playing the Animus Hub, I actually think Assassin's Creed is in the strongest it's been since its original inception, 2007. The hub itself has room to grow, and that's not a concern because it's new. But the fact of it makes you feel like you're in an Animus yourself, and it's got that immersive factor that you're booting up your PS5 and this is an Animus. You've got memories, and a really cool detail that isn't discussed by a lot of members is if you own the games digitally, like I own Odyssey digitally, if I click on Odyssey in Shadows, there's a 4 second countdown and then booted straight into Odyssey. And it's
Yeah.
really fascinating to have that transition. It does feel like I'm just booting up another Assassin's Creed memory. And I'm a bit mixed on how they're handling the battle pass system for unlocking modern day. I'm a little bit miffed with that because
Yeah.
it feels like a slog. But I've worked with a lot of the Discord members for Let's Talk Assassin's Creed. We've unpicked a lot of the lore, and at the moment, the modern day is the strongest it's ever been. The hub as well makes it immersive. You feel like you're an actual initiative, like what they tried with Unity and Syndicate, but failed because they didn't have that extra step up. So looking forward, I think I'm the most excited for the future because there is enough there to drive it home and get that balance. Because the hub now can actually give people a smaller one-to-one game like Mirage, which is back to roots, and then a bigger open world like Shadows. And because all the modern day is in the hub and not in the games, if you don't want to play the giant open world Shadows and just Mirage, you're still getting the modern day content everyone else is getting. And it's that unification that kind of drives that we're getting everything the same, and we can miss games that aren't our cup of teas, just skip them, but we're still going to unlock the modern day. And I think Ubisoft have finally hit home run on an idea, but they just need to stick with it going forward. And that's just the problem. Just stick with it, and I think you can grow the franchise bigger than you've ever done before.
That's cool to hear that you're still excited by it. But James makes a good point here. He says, I don't think modern day is overly important anymore. And this is the thing. You're talking about the modern day, which are actually like the Assassin's Creed riffs in Shadows. Is that right? It's like the 5-10 minute, like almost like side missions that you can miss it. It's not like something that you have to do anymore. It's almost like modern day is like an additional thing. Is that what you're saying?
Don't get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the opinion of a lot of fans, though, isn't it? That modern day is just getting in the way, really, of you accessing the history. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Obviously, as like a long term fan of Assassin's Creed Modern Day. I mean, I've fought with the developers to keep Modern Day. I've gone back and forth. I've sent like been fighting for years, but at this point, modern day's been stripped away so much. You know, I mean, they went for comic books, and then they went for cutscenes, and like gameplay is pretty much completely gone now. Even like now, what I'm seeing with the rifts, I wouldn't even call this modern day. Like, it's so strange because it's almost like you're playing as like Yasuke and Nawe, and you're jumping through historical segments, and then all of a sudden they're almost like computer generated pieces of the Animus or something. It's a bit like, you know, when Subject 16 in Revelations was like desynchronized and he was like almost like a ghost in the Animus. It's a bit like that. But for me, I just want to see like third person proper Assassin's Creed modern day. Like, I think we're so far away from that now that, yeah, for me, it's difficult to get excited about Assassin's Creed in terms of like modern day because it feels to me like they've stripped it away so much that I'm not even sure if it's really there anymore. But it's good to hear that you're excited by the franchise still, and obviously with the variation of games that are coming out, like the larger games like you mentioned, and like the smaller games like Mirage, and we're sort of hoping here at the Ones Again Before that Hexe is one of these smaller games that's coming out. Maybe it doesn't need to be like a huge, expansive world. Maybe it can be like Mirage size, and they can have like smaller games that, and then maybe they have like a huge AAA game 2 years later, so, something along them lines where they can have like a nice mix. But yeah, Assassin's Creed's in like an interesting place now where there is like so much stuff going on, but the developers are listening, but at the same time, I think it would be interesting to see what happens in like 2026 because, of course, there's apparently a TV show in development, which we don't know anything about that really. We don't know the setting, we don't know the actors, we know a couple of the writers and the showrunners, but really at the end of the day, we don't know an awful lot about that. So that would be a good opportunity to push modern day forward. And it's really cool to hear that you still are interested in modern day and, of course, are in the past. But a lot of people would argue now that modern day died with Desmond, and that's a quote I see so regularly. And there's a great quote here from James: "The future of Assassin's Creed is the past." And that's a really good quote, and I think it's a stance that I think we mentioned it earlier as well. It is about 50-50 split on modern day and the past. So yeah, it's interesting that Animus Hub can sort of weave a modern day narrative throughout, but can it fulfill the sort of desires that fans want in terms of like a fulfilling modern day storyline? And what are the modern day riffs like in Shadows? Because I've not actually played them myself. I'm just leaving it for other people because they're only like 5-10 minutes. But I went to download the Shadows update the other day and it took about 14 hours. So I played Mirage instead. So I've not touched Shadows in about 2 weeks now because the updates are so massive.
Personally, I think a word advice I'll give to fans, and this is not me being cynical, it's just ignore our notions of how Assassin's Creed has been and look at Shadows as a full reset, not a soft reboot, because modern day has been pushed not from Basim's point, but to a far future. So everything you uncover in the hub's modern day is set years after what happened with Basim.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, it's insane. The modern day they're setting up is very good. The rifts, I played the newest rift yesterday, which also took me 2 days to download, and I played it, and it is basically it's like the Atlas Islands from Revelations. Really good, really good visuals, really good setup, and leaves you hanging for more information. So I'm excited because I do agree with a lot of fans that up to a certain point, especially with Odyssey, Valhalla, and Mirage's modern day, which was in existence and it should have been, modern day has slumped. They've not found the balance. But with Shadow's modern day set in the far future, they're not keeping it one to one human time as they used to do. I think it's best as a lot of fans, is what I'm doing, and I'm not saying you should, but it's what I think's best, is look at the Shadows modern day going forward as a new reset for the whole era of Assassin's Creed that Ubisoft are trying the hardest now to fix their mistakes. So it's not perfect now. It's text files, a lot of it, and a lot of it's like jumbled up. But this is just with shadows. We don't know what they're going to do next year with Hexay. They could add, they could even make a modern day gameplay and put it into the hub. There is so much they can do with the hub for modern day, but we just have to be patient. And I think I agree with a lot of fans that modern day should have been dropped by Valhalla, because I think Odyssey's modern day was a bit weakest. So I was a bit hesitant, but with how I'm experiencing Shadows this modern day, I'm excited for the modern day, even though I do think more can be added, more immersive gameplays, more visuals. But at the moment, I'm just seeing it as this is a reset. They've restarting the franchise from beginning again. They've just took Shadows, and this is a reset point. We're pushing away from Basim's modern day, and we're going to start again at a future point. Something's happened. What's going on? And it's just mind blowing what they've set up. It's very tech savvy, very animusy, and it's very intriguing.
That's interesting. And what you've just said actually excites me more about modern day than any like official release Ubisoft's done about it in their marketing, because I've not really seen an awful lot in terms of like them promoting the Rifts or anything. But now, from what you've just said, I actually want to go and play them now. So now I've actually got Shadows like fully installed with the latest updates. I'll probably go and play that now, just out of interest. And yeah, I haven't really got any like knowledge on where modern day is going or anything, but I think what you're saying about the distant future might be a good way of doing it, because obviously I'm a big fan of Westworld, and we've discussed this in previous episodes. Sort of like looking at other franchises and how they have like the sci-fi elements, like the back and forth with corporations, and like Star Wars, a really good example of like a controlling force, and then the submissive, and yeah, there's almost like Assassin's Creed elements in a lot of these franchises now, and like a ton of things I watch now, I'm sort of like, Assassin's Creed is like, it could be like this. Do you know what I mean? I imagine you've found examples yourself, Declan, when watching things. But yeah, it's really interesting that you said about the modern day, and what you said really has excited me in terms of like, maybe they are setting up for something bigger in the future, and it'd be really interesting to see if they can weave this narrative throughout other games, or better yet, weave it throughout the Infinity platform and have it on there. But yeah, that's really cool. And if they can maintain the consistency with the TV show as well, maybe introduce some kind of third-person characters, or we're all trapped in the machine. We're in an Animus. However they want to do this, it'd be really cool if they continued that narrative all the way to the TV show, all the way to Hexay, and later down the line, play a long game. Because it feels to me like modern day, they have like a plan for so long, and then it drops off, like with the comic books. I mean, Juno died in the comic books, and then there was no real resolution. I mean, obviously, Black Flag as well, for example. We had all this stuff with like being like a nameless person who you don't play as again. And it's almost like plot lines are being dropped with the modern day. But it'd be really cool if they could maybe set up internally like a narrative team that are responsible purely for the modern day direction of Assassin's Creed. A new comment here from James. I've said it before, Ubisoft are scared of the community as a whole, because even the fans can't agree on the direction the franchise should go. Yeah, that's the thing with modern day. There's no like right or wrong way it can go. Like it just needs to do its own thing, really. But yeah, everyone's got a different opinion on modern day, so that's sort of why I'm of the opinion now that maybe it should be wove within, or like sort of like an optional thing, but you're sort of reminded of it throughout. So maybe if you're like in the Animus, and then you're seeing these messages come up from other people who are trapped in Animuses, they're all trying to break out, and maybe hackers can help, for example. If it is going for that futuristic setting, I'm thinking, like Prometheus, or a movie like that, where they're in like cryogenic stasis, and then like David, the clone in that, for example, is like waking people up hundreds of years in the future. Maybe it could be something like that, where everyone's in like an Animus that like controls their breathing, for example, and the most important ones are being woken up, and maybe put in the movie Animus or something. I'm not really sure, but they can do whatever they like with it, but just don't get rid of it entirely. We do still want it there. But yeah, like I say, with the Rifts, the one thing that's putting me off is that you're not playing as like a third person character. Is that once again sort of like the nameless thing, and there's like the going through the files, and but yeah, like I say, if it is leading up to something bigger, I am interested in playing, but I would like a bit of clarity from Ubisoft on the direction of it, maybe. Even a bit of like teasing that there are more rifts to come and it will explain itself. Just a bit more like, I don't know, just explain a bit more what's going on with modern day. Do you know what I mean, Declan? Like, it's sort of burning my head a bit. Like what are they doing with modern day right now?
I think the problem is when you load up Shadows, and I'm speaking from, I've got a brother-in-law who's played Shadows. He skipped the intro to Shadows, but
Okay.
when you look closely and you pay attention to the intro of Shadows, it basically tells you that you've been accepted into the Animus ego. So this nameless person is you, the player. You've
Yeah.
gone into the Abster ego, and then you have that you're being lied to, welcome to the dark. And that's already setting up the whole idea that this nameless person isn't just a random rando from the other games, it's actually you, and that's what the hub's driving at, that you're going into the genetic memory. So when you're in the rifts and you see like a hollow 3D avatar, that's
Mhm.
meant to represent you as the player. So
Okay.
you're in, so it's kind of this meta idea that you've booted up the Abstergo ego, you're going to recreate your past, but your Animus has now been hacked by the Dark, and the Dark is now going to push you as a guide to explore what's going wrong. So when you play Shadows and you have the Rifts, that's basically imagining that you're at home with an Abstergo entertainment system from AC4, and as you're just playing through the memory, the Abstergo glitches out and something's saying, actually, you're being lied to. I'm going to push you into this rift for you to explore more. And then it kind of creates this like meta idea that we're not dealing with a nameless or a random person. We're dealing with you, the player, and now in the Animus. And every time you play the past, that's you exploring their genetic memory. So it's in Shadow's story, that's you, the player, playing as Naue and Yasuke. And when you go in the rifts, that's you, the player, experiencing the rifts. And then when you come out and you look at the vault and all the text files, again, that's you, the player, uncovering the modern day. So it's giving power to the player to live that Animus fantasy. And that's kind of how I've seen the hub, the way it's all been designed. It's as if that it's no longer about modern day with a protagonist or a nameless person. It's about putting you into the AC universe as the protagonist. And I think that's a smart move if they can stick the landing.
I think you've explained that really well, by the way. So we are going to clip that and definitely use that to clear it up for a lot of people because it wasn't even clear to me, and like I've had no direction from Ubisoft on this. And I imagine a lot of people won't really understand the direction it's going in, but you have explained that really well. So thank you. It all makes sense now. It is sort of along the lines of the Black Flag and Rogue Modern Day, but it's rather than like you as like an Abstergo employee, it's you as in like me and you. Like that makes sense now you've said it.
And I think there's lots of hints that, especially with the, because in the hub you can actually go to a vault and watch all the cutscenes and all the rifts, so you can rewatch them, so they're not gone forever, which is brilliant. And when
Okay.
you rewatch the intro and you're like, this is Abstergo's Animus ego, this is your playground. It's like keywords of like your playground. It's kind of selling to you that
I see.
your playground, your memory, your ancestors. And then when the dark comes in, it's like, well, you're being lied to. It's when you look at someone who loves literature, when you look at the wording played, when it's like you're being lied to, welcome to the dark, it's inviting you, the player, into it because it's how it's wording. It's not like, oh, hello, initiative, you're being lied to. It's you're being lied to. So it's pushing that narrative that it's you're being lied to, and this isn't the truth. And I think a lot of the Rift missions, when the Animus talks to you, it uses a lot of words that it's trying to directly talk to you, the player, and it kind of pushes more the idea that it's actually the player that's stuck in the Animus, not some random creation, which is a kind of meta idea that is just brilliant.
That makes sense. Whilst we're talking about the future of Assassin's Creed, where would you like a game to be set? Because this is a question we always ask our guests, and we've had some really interesting responses. You know, a lot of people say like World War II. Other people are saying going back to the Ezio games and playing it from like one of his initiates, like a member of the Brotherhood that he's recruited, playing it from their perspective and seeing Ezio again. But where would you like the Assassin's Creed franchise to go in like a game that hasn't been announced yet, or maybe even the setting for the TV show? Where do you want this series to go personally?
So this is an idea that I've talked about on my podcast before, and it's one I'm sticking to my guns with now for over 6 years. The Mayan era,
But
because I really want Assassin's Creed to explore the Mayan calendar and why it ended at 2012. Because
that's
historically,
cool.
the Mayans were very in touch with their gods through sacrifices. And I think it with Shadows having less Isu in it, which I'm not complaining about, I like that grounded. They could give us a Mayan game with a lot more Isu roots and a lot more Isu technology, and finally an understanding of why the Mayan calendar shifted to end specifically on that date, because it does end in AC3 on the 24th of December 2012. That's canon, so why don't we get a game that explores why the Mayans made that prophecy and why the calendar specifically ended there? What knowledge did they have? And I think that would just be the perfect kind of all rounder for the franchise.
I think that's a really good one, and I've got to ask it now because Assassin's Creed does this. Would you want to play as an assassin or a Mayan warrior?
To be honest, with the way they're setting up the hub, I think either would work great, because I think with the hub, you can now sell to fans that these games where you're either a warrior, initiative, or a hidden one is all part of unlocking a genetic memory for the modern day. And if you can sell that, you can start creating games that bend the rules a little. So you're not playing as an assassin, you're just playing as a warrior, but they're linked to the Isu, they're linked to the ideologies of the assassins, they're linked to its history, and what you do in that memory affects the modern day. And it creates that stretched narrative that you've got more flow to grow with.
I think that's a really good selection, by the way. I think that'd be really interesting. Obviously, we see the Mayan temples and the ruins in Black Flag, so it'd be really cool to see, like, obviously, back in the day, like when it was actually like, well, like running. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, when it was actually like there, and to see like their actual civilization rather than like the aftermath. It's the same, I guess, in like Valhalla, for example, where you see like the what's left really of the Romans. You don't actually see the Romans in Assassin's Creed really, other than like Origins, but you just see really what's there. And question, got a message here from James. With the Mayans, they would have to be careful because of Odyssey. Is this like a similar sort of time period? Is it as far back as that? So yeah, definitely work they can do there. It'd be cool if they could have like a Mayan Brotherhood or something. I mean, I don't know if there's already like established Assassin's Creed lore going on there in the Mayans. I think there's comic books. I feel like I remember like an issue of the 2016 comic books of a girl like running, and she was like
Yes,
a runner. Does that make sense?
I think that's Aztec, because there's
Maybe, maybe.
also there's also links in the first Descendants novel as well to either
Okay.
the Aztecs and the Mayans with the three pieces of Eden, which make up the Trident of Eden.
Yeah,
But that's I can't remember. I've got the book somewhere, but
they're really good then.
can't remember off the top of my head. But yes, it does all interlink, and it is an issue to interlink. And as James just put there, the time periods they do have an issue, but there's nothing to say that they can't exist side by side without no, yeah, no assassins and templars is an issue that
Right.
people will have, and I do agree. But if you have a hub that is telling you to live through genetic memories, that explains that, oh, this genetic memory was never part of a hidden ones, but they were touched by the Isu, that is still part of the AC lore. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of fans forget that Assassin's Creed lore is a trifactor. It's not Assassins and Templars, but it's Assassins, Templars, and the Isu. Because without the Isu, you can't have Assassin's Creed. So if you played a game without Assassins or Templars, but a huge focus on Isu's impact on the civilization that led to humanity as it is now, is the same idea as playing an Assassin's Creed game. It's just not the standard we're used to.
Well, we here at the Ones Who Came Before are big fans of the e-suit, of course. I mean, our name would suggest that, and we are all huge like supporters of the e-suit and the first civilization, and all the pieces of Eden. Like we're really into that sort of side of the lore. So it'd be really cool to sort of see storylines with more of that as like a prominent factor in the narrative, because Shadows didn't really have that much Isu lore really, other than like there was like the boxes, but they didn't introduce any like new members of the first Civ or anything like that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see that. And sort of similar to this question, I've actually decided not to discuss my Australia theory every single week from now on. So what I've done, because I've been trying to get this out there a bit and generate a bit of hype about it, I've emailed the Podyssey podcast and said to the guys, how do you think an Australia game would look? So then I can sort of see what they have to say on it, because I feel like every single week I'm telling people, and I'm trying to pitch it to Ubisoft as well, an Australia game would be really cool. And each time people are giving like their own perspectives on it, but I think I've said all I can say about it, so I'm going to leave it over to them guys to see their opinion on it. And Declan, did you have anything to add about an Australia game?
I personally don't know enough about Australian heritage or history, but I think it would work. I think the fact is we have enough history in this world for any time period to work. I think we can't just turn our eyes away because we don't know it exists. I think I only played Mirage personally because I knew nothing about Baghdad. I knew nothing. So I only played Mirage not for Basim, but because I wanted to learn a new culture. So if you suddenly said this is part of Australians' heritage, I'd buy it straight away because I don't know. So that'll be that day one.
Yeah, so I'm hoping the guys on the Podyssey have a look through that and maybe do some historical deep diving, but these guys go into like real like in-depth discussion, so I am excited to see what they say about it. And you don't have to listen to me every week talking about Australia. And James as well with Scotland. We're really trying to pitch these settings. But yeah, that's really cool to hear your perspective, Declan, and where you'd like Assassin's Creed to go. And I just want to sort of wrap up by going a bit off topic. And again, this is something I've got from the Podyssey, so shout out to the guys. I am quite happy to go off topic a little bit at the end of each episode from now on. I'm not as structured as I was. But yeah, I was watching Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes last night. Have you seen that one from 2024?
I've seen them all. Every single one. I love the films.
Yeah, so I managed to free up some time last night and watch that one. And it's weird. I was watching the film and I was like, right, okay, this is set several hundred years after Caesar. So obviously you guys all know Caesar. He's like the main ape in the three films. And then this one's like set hundreds of years after. But I was watching it and I was like similar to what we said before, you can see Assassin's Creed in everything. I was like, oh my God, like Noah's story is just Connor from Assassin's Creed. Like he leaves his village, he comes back and it's burning. It's sort of his fault for like directing them. And I was just thinking of like Connor with Charles Lee and everyone in the forest, and like it's all burning around him, all his loved ones. He tries to save them. Obviously Connor with his mum, and like this is like semi-spoiler territory, but it has been out a year, to be fair. We'll put a spoiler warning in. But yeah, in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, he goes back to his village and like tries to save his dad. And just the whole thing with like being the master of eagles, this is so Assassin's Creed and like having control over eagles. And it just got me thinking, like it'd be really cool to have this like eagle attack where you can use more than one eagle to attack like an enemy. I mean, this is seen in the film, and yeah, I was watching it, and like I say, the links to Assassin's Creed just never stopped for me. I could just see like several things. Even like later on, there's a character called Rekko, and he's like a mentor figure who's like a member of the Order of Caesar. And to me, it was just like, wow, he's met like basically the equivalent of like a master assassin who's like teaching him like about the creed. And like I say, I was seeing like all the links in this. But yeah, the way I wanted to go with this, like obviously it's off topic, but I thought it was really cool how he could use like many eagles. He had like a special call and he could use many eagles. I think it was like 10 of them in the end to like swoop down and attack someone, where in Assassin's Creed games we've only ever seen like the one eagle companion. It would be cool if you could have control over many, and it'd be cool if like Hexe, maybe you could have like something different from an eagle, maybe like a cat companion, for example. I think this is probably where they'll go with it. they'll have like you can control more than just eagles. There's other animals as well that, due to like first civilization DNA, they can control other animals. So a cat would be a good one for the female character, presumably, according to what people have said about that one. Um, yeah, that'd be really interesting. And yeah, I was just watching the film, and for me, the links to Assassin's Creed never stopped. What do you think about that?
To be honest, when we were discussing what we're talking about, and I saw Master of Eagles, I was just thinking Lord of the Rings for some
Oh,
reason.
okay,
And
yeah, yeah,
giant eagles. Whenever somebody mentions eagles, I just think of Lord of the Rings, not
yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
They're
But
a lot bigger in there.
yeah, I think that wouldn't fit in Assassin's Creed if like Basim was trying to call down like some 6 foot eagle to scope out the territory. But I think
Be
it's an
useful.
interesting one because the art of using eagles to hunt is falconeering, and falconeering has been used in so many cultures. From like the Huns used it for hunting, British people use it for hunting. So it's kind of very ingrained into history, and I think that film is just a reflection of human history itself. How
I
we're
completely
always
agree. I was seeing so many links to historical battles, for example, ancient Rome in particular. I mean, Proximus, I believe he's called, who's basically like an emperor figure in the ape world. He's literally just like living in a time after Julius Caesar died, for example. This is like the parallel I was getting, is that he's like one of these emperors that looks back on Caesar as like a great leader. When I say Caesar now, I'm talking about obviously Roman history. He's looking back and wants to build something even greater. So yeah, for sure, I was seeing the parallels to real history and war. It was really great. I really enjoyed it.
it is a good film, but I think personally, I prefer the originals over the remakes, just
Okay.
because I do enjoy the idea of watching how the Planet of the Apes formed, but there was just something more mesmerizing about being trapped on a planet and you trying to uncover the history of why apes have took over, and then as the film ends, it's Earth, and you've been on Earth all along, and I think that just
Cool.
always stuck with me as being cool as hell.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they're setting up for a part two, so I'm not sure when that'll come, but it's looking like it's going in that direction. So hopefully there's a bit more like eagle use in that one, because let's say that would be like a in Assassin's Creed, for example, that'd be like a special power. It's almost like Noah has like reached his peak eagle mastery in that film. So really cool to see it, and like I said, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up and sort of the parallels I was getting to AC, and it's just probably the way my brain's wired. I can probably see the links everywhere now.
I try not to, but I read way too much that
Yeah,
it's kind of hard for me because I play Assassin's Creed and I'll start seeing parables like William Shakespeare mythology, and I'm like, no,
yeah.
this is Assassin's Creed. It's not ancient literature. Slow down.
That's cool. I just want to sort of wrap up the last few moments really to, again, a bit off topic, but it is Assassin's Creed related. We're about to approach 35,000 followers on X, which is like a huge thing for us here at the Ones That Came Before. We've got a graphic ready to go from one of our artists, and just like when you think about it, 35,000 people is like a huge amount. Like if you can imagine them all in one place, it would fill an arena. Like it's huge, really. So massive thank you to everyone who's already following us on X. If you're not already, you can find us at AC First Save. So please give us a follow as we push past that milestone. We've got a lot of exciting things planned. And also to make this happen, I've sort of tweaked the social media strategy for the social media team. We're going to be posting more consistently, more engagement posts, more questions, more polls, getting people involved and interacting. And that's something we want to do as well here on our TikTok account. I know me and James in the comments, he's from my video content creation team. We also want to be more responsive to our questions and comments. So we're definitely considering these things and even growing our social media team to have someone who's like dedicated just to interacting with community members' questions, just like rather than like we've got people who are focused on getting the news out in time and theories. It'd be great to have someone as well. So there is a job open on our end if anyone's interested for a voluntary position. That'd be really cool. And yeah, just I guess finally to wrap up, just a massive thank you to everyone who's donated gifts in this stream and also the previous one. We've had a massive increase in surge in that, and your donations help keep the Once Again Before website afloat. You're helping us air the website and host it for another year, so we really appreciate it, guys. And massive thank thank you as well to you, Declan, as well, for taking the time to join us. I've not spoken to you in a long time, so it's really cool to catch up with you, and I hope you've enjoyed yourself. It's probably the first time you've had like a guest appearance in a long time, so thank you for making the time. I do really appreciate it.
Thanks very much. It's the first time I've actually been a guest on anyone's show in years, but
wow.
like I said, I'm back in the community. I've took over Blue Skies because I love doing Blue Skies. So if you see any Blue Skies posts from Let's Talk AC, it's me. So that's just me being nuts on the internet. So just be warned. But you'll see my face more often as more AC opportunities open up, because if I can get there on a bus, car, or train, I'll go to these events. So I'm coming out more into the world of Assassin's Creed.
It's really great to have you back. And where can people find you? So we mentioned the Blue Sky. Are there any other platforms that people can find you and the podcast?
We're on YouTube and Spotify as our main platforms, and Blue Skies is our main social media platform now because it's a lot easier for us to use. But honestly, just Google the name Let's Talk Assassin's Creed and you'll find every link to where we are. And I won't lie, I have Googled our name several times this week, and it's just fun to see all the different links that pop up. So just give us a Google and you'll find us somehow.
That's fantastic. Well, I'll 100% be listening to your podcast as well, especially now that I know you're back. It's really great. Like I said, I've been listening to a ton of Assassin's Creed podcasts in work. And yes, a massive thank you, Declan, for joining us. Speaking of Assassin's Creed podcasts, we are apologising here for last week's episode with Dave Woodward. It took a little bit of time to release it. Charlie says he's very sorry for this. He's our editor. He's had a lot of work on, but I have released them both today. He's edited them. So episode 7's now on YouTube, TikTok and Spotify, and this one I'll go up as quickly as possible. But looking to the future of this podcast, it is very bright because I've actually got guests lined up all the way until mid-October. And next week I'm joined by, well, you'll know my guest next week. I've got Joe Raptor. So a huge guest for the podcast, and I'm really excited to get into all things Assassin's Creed, content creation, life as a YouTuber, and yeah, he's a really great guy, so I'm looking forward to that one. And that is a huge guest. He's got 1 million YouTube subscribers, and yeah, we're really pushing into a new level for this like Assassin's Creed community hangout. We're getting more recognizable guests on, we're becoming more consistent, and we're doing what we love here, and that's discussing Assassin's Creed. So looking forward to that. I hopefully see you guys next week. So once again, massive thank you, Declan, for joining. Big thank you to everyone who's donated as well and sent gifts, and we'll see you all next week. See you soon, Assassins.